To record a quick video message to capture an idea, just my latest thinking on coding with AI. This is beginning of February 2025, and I've been coding with AI for what feels like about a year now, and moved through several different paradigms, going from just copying, pasting straight out of ChatGPT and working that way. Now I'm working in Cursor with an agent using Anthropic Claude Sonnet. That's my current stack, as it were. And I wanted to just cover off on a few different observations I've made, and I'll try to be as brief and as punchy as possible about it. So basically, one of the really powerful things about working with AI, coding with AI, is that one can put on a kind of product manager hat where they can just speak in human language to the system. The more vocabulary you have, more technical vocabulary you have, the easier it is for you to actually ask it to do what you want as a product manager. So being tech savvy is important, but not that necessary. You could just talk to it about what you want to be the behavioral result, and it would also be able to do quite a lot to serve that, to serve your asks. So that's pretty amazing, groundbreaking. Everybody I can see, a lot of people are seeing this as a possibility. Um, Now, what happens when you do that is that let's say you start a project and you start talking to the thing and you start specifying behavioral goals and it starts implementing solutions and fulfilling these dreams and they're coming to life in a piece of software. And sometimes you have to kind of cajole it, coerce it to get it to, get through an obstacle, but it can do it. And then at a certain point, really operating in this way with no mind to technical lands you in a position where you're sitting on top of a mountain of technical debt. And this mountain of technical debt sort of implodes on itself, and you can no longer really it can hardly serve your wishes anymore. It can hardly respond to your asks anymore because it's just such a tangle that it doesn't understand what's going on. The code base has grown too large, too convoluted, and it reveals that while the AI is quite good at doing these like pinpoint missions, like it needs to get this something done, and it'll just find a way to get it done given the code base. It'll just, you know, chewing gum and duct tape its way to the solution right then and there. But a bunch of chewing gum and duct tape all, to create an entire house, that's what you end up with. And so um, it's not viable in a production sense. Like you can't really take an application to scale this way or a product to scale this way. Um, you can't take it to market. And so the question becomes, um, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with the fact that it's so liberating to be able to put on the product manager hat and stay as a product manager and not have to think technically at all and just think about what should the product be and do and who's it for and how should it feel and what should it look like and blocking in the features. But when it comes time to really move with it as a product where you're going to have to make it reliable or extend it or maintain it or anything like that, then you are in a world of pain. You have this code base that like now you're going to have to go learn it. And if you don't know anything about code, you're dead. You have to hire someone who does, or um, there's nothing you can do. If you are somebody who knows about code, then you got to go into a code base that you don't know. You sort of know what it does, but the way that it's been written, it's likely like completely weird and tangled and convoluted, and you're gonna have to go in there and like forensically kind of pull the whole thing apart and clean it up. You could potentially like use the prototype you've been left with, this prototype standing on a mountain of technical debt. You could potentially take that prototype to a team, a real team, and say, "Hey, team, build something that does exactly this and looks like this. Just make it work, make it real." That's one option that costs a lot of money. Another option is that you sit down with the code base and you untangle it and you make it reasonable and you make the code good. That cleaning up of that technical debt becomes its own mission that you have to do if you want to move forward from that point. And I'm just pointing out that it's interesting. I picture it with two hats: product manager hat and engineer hat. And that the power of this technology is that I can just put the product manager hat on and stay there with the product manager hat on for quite some time, just yapping at the machine with my desires, and it's responding with what looks to be the product. But at some point, I'm going to have to put the engineer hat on if I want to get a real code base, a real usable, shippable code base. I'm going to have to put the engineer hat on. I can either wear this one for a whole month, then take it off and put this one on and go, oh my God, I got a month worth of spaghetti to deal with. Or I could potentially do like, a day as product manager, a day of engineer cleaning up, day of product manager, day of engineering, something, a week of product manager, a week of engineering. You pick your intervals. Um, but this is how I see the current state of the art of working with coding with AI. There's tremendous benefits, and then there's some real gotchas. And how do you how do you make sense of it? And presumably in the future, like gosh, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 5 years, who knows? You'll be able to take a really messy code base, just hand it to the AI, and be like, clean it up, make it good, make it awesome. I can see that that's going to be possible. There's no reason why that shouldn't be possible, but it certainly is not possible now. I've tried it, and even with tons of guidance, that's difficult. The only way that I've found to do the technical debt dig out is to step by step take pieces of the application and clean them up while stabilizing it as you go, keeping your features working, keeping juggling the working application as you go from this completely shit pile hot mess of code to slightly more reasonable, slightly cleaner, slightly simpler, keep going, keep going, keep going. The more time you put in, the cleaner and better this code base gets, and you factor it and delete your technical debt and get back to a place where you can move again. And what's interesting is when you do get back to a place where you can move again, the AI can also now start to help you again. It gets to a point where it locks up, it can't do anything else because it's so tangled and messy. If you demess it and detangle it, then it will be able to, you know, just respond to your wishes again with your product manager hat on again. So you also free up the ability to then go back to that chewing gum spaghetti product manager, no technical thing. And it's really worth mentioning, I think, that the power of being able to stay firmly planted in that product manager headspace and not have to invest yourself, psychically in the engineering difficulties of it, that is amazing. You get to be in this very creative, playful thing and just think about like, what if it was like this? What if it was like that? And experiment with all that stuff. That's just a really fantastic new possibility. You used to have a prototyping team or a prototyper on your team who would be able to fulfill that role for you, which I have done that as a job. I've also done the job of engineering, not prototyping. So I know the difference between those two um, ways of coding. And AI is great at prototype coding. So amazing. That's so cool. But so how do you take a prototyped code base, turn it into a real code base? Hire a real team, pay them umpteen dollars and give them the prototype as a functional spec, or take the prototype and actually convert it to real code through good old fashioned elbow grease and just figuring out what the fuck is going on and fixing all the code, making it simple. That's what I'm thinking. February 2025, AI coding. Really looking forward to the time when I can just plop a messy code base in the top and the sausage machine can spit out a code base that's cleaner and better than anything I could ever have imagined. I'm sure we'll get it, and I have no idea when. Thanks.